Habari Shikamo. Welcome guys to my channel King Said So, and the greeting Habari and Shikamo is a both formal and informal way of greeting in Swahili. I told you guys every Monday starting from today we'll be learning a phrase, a sentence from the Swahili language. So the way you greet in Swahili, you say habari, or if you are in an informal formal setting, you say shikamo. So that's a very easy words to remember. So I said I'm going to commit myself to learning Swahili for 6 months. Probably we're going to do it for more, but I'm taking you guys with me in the journey. You don't have a choice because I'll be opening my Monday videos like that. So, habari shikamo is how you greet someone in Swahili. It's like saying dumelang. Habari, it almost sounds like habari, which is the Sutu language and the Tswana language. Habari. So that's very nice. Guys, I want to talk about the interview that Penuel, the Black Pen, did with Dr. Umar Johnson. And hey, just for the side note, you remember what, if you watch my video when I spoke about Penuel and DJ Spoo, I said I did not like how Penuel came out and said and tried to correct DJ Spoo on the net or on social media to say DJ Spoo he spoke out of 10. Dr. Umar was not getting paid, and like-minded people must sit together without having any pride, and so on and so on. When DJ Spoo made a mistake by declining to go and speak because they refused to pay him, DJ Spoo said all they promised him was that they will secure an interview for his podcast with Dr. Umar. But DJ Spoo obviously declined that offer. And surprise, surprise, who gets the interview? Penuel. But I think Penuel did a good job. The whiteness out of Penuel tried to come out. But Dr. Umar Johnson, as we know, is one of the best pan-Africanisms personalities. I would even go as far as saying in the history of mankind because of what he's about to do with the school. Let's just quickly listen to Dr. Umar Johnson in him explaining what is Pan-Africanism.
What's going on? Absolutely. To the ordinary person out there and to the ordinary African out there, what is Pan-Africanism?
Pan-Africanism, if I was to sum it up in three basic principles. Number one, all African people are one family. Whether you're in South Africa speaking Zulu or Xhosa, whether you're in Nigeria speaking Yoruba or Igbo, whether you're in Kenya speaking Maasai or Kikuyu, whether you're in Senegal speaking Wolof or Mandingo, whether you're in South Bronx speaking Ebonics, or in Haiti speaking French, or Brazil speaking Portuguese, we one family. And it doesn't matter what your religion is, whether you're Muslim or Christian or traditional African spiritualist, whether you pledge allegiance to this flag or that flag, whether you're light skin or dark skin, straight hair, nappy hair like mine, one family. Yeah. And we should identify on the level of our Africanity first. Being African is more important than anything else. Why? Because God made you an African. Everything else you belong to, you chose. You can leave Christianity tomorrow. You can leave Islam tomorrow. You can renounce your South African citizenship tomorrow. I could give up my American citizenship, so-called, tomorrow. You understand? I could never give up being an African. God made us African, and that's what we should identify with first.
Yeah, I wanted to start this with exactly that, explaining what Pan-Africanism, meaning every black person, no matter where they stay, where they are on planet Earth, they are African first. And personally, I had an issue with putting Africa first before religion, putting Africa first before spirituality, putting Africa first before tribe and all of that, until I started waking up and I get being woke in terms of speaking about, I started seeing that no man. But if I see my brother who's from another country as a Swahili person, that is the first cap I put on him. So I'm seeing a black person, but I'm not seeing a brother because I'm not relating his blackness to mine. I'm seeing first that no, he's from Kenya, or he's from Nigeria, he's from Zimbabwe. That means I've got a tribalism spirit in me that is causing division between the two of us. So I started to realize that no, Africans, we are Africans wherever we are. When I see my brother, I must see my brother. When I see my sister, I must see my sister. I must see as if I'm seeing my own sister from my mother, because ultimately we are all from the same lineage. So that was very nice to see what Dr. Umar said, and it is the foundation of pan-Africanism. And he goes into explaining how our politicians are not in control of their destiny because of them taking funds from the white monopoly capitalists, and it was very nice to hear Dr. Umar Johnson speak. This is one of the people I look up to. I always speak on my channel about the black agenda. What is the black agenda? We've got so many distractions as people, as black people, that we always forget. Today, the biggest distraction we have is ESCOM. ESCOM is distracting us from the issue of the land, the issue of getting our economy back. There's always a distraction. It was COVID-19, it was a soccer tournament, soccer World Cup. There's always a distraction to keep us busy from focusing on the black agenda. Let's just quickly hear what Dr. Umar Johnson said.
Any black politician, I don't care how well-meaning they are, if they got to go to white people to get financing for their political party, if they got to go to white people to get financing for their campaign, ultimately they're going to carry out a white agenda, because the hand that pays is the hand that rules. Yeah. So if you want your politicians to be loyal to you and the black community, you have to finance them. But we don't do that. In South Africa, many of your politicians are financed by white people. In America, our black politicians are financed by white people. In the Caribbean, they're financed by white people. If you want to change that, if you want to stop being exploited by fake black politicians, start selecting them yourself and start funding them yourself.
You agree that there are some bad Africans, some bad black people?
Absolutely.
Are we supposed to try and unite with these people or try and save them?
I don't believe you can save every African, and I'm not interested in doing that. The freedom struggle is not a utopia. You saw that here. The South African freedom struggle wasn't a utopia.
Yeah.
The Ghanaian freedom struggle wasn't a utopia. The Congolese freedom struggle wasn't a utopia. The American freedom struggle wasn't a utopia. There will always be reactive, anti-African elements, even amongst our own people.
Yeah.
Cut off the cancer and grow with those who are interested in being free. The worst thing you can do is try to bring every South African into the fold in your next liberation struggle. Because truth be told, some of us have been so indoctrinated, so brainwashed by the white power structure that we will kill you before we kill apartheid.
You know what? I strongly believe that there is no way a pure black liberating movement can be funded by a white monopoly capital. I don't care what you say, what you think. There is no clean money from the enemy. There is no such thing. And the problem, I think there was a time where the EFF was pushing that, listen, let's all disclose our funders for our campaigns, starting from, I think it was, if I'm not lying, I think it was 150,000 or something like that. You can correct me on the comment section. Listen, it does not have to be 150. Every cent, let's disclose it. A 2 rand that comes from a white monopoly capitalist is going to influence how we campaign. It's going to influence the way we speak. That's why when Julius Malema was standing up and saying he was standing up for the minority in terms of the homosexuals, to myself, I was like, no, who's funding this campaign? because we know EFF is pro-black. I was very shocked and I was saying, no, man, something is wrong here. Something is wrong. The reason is because we don't know who's funding our politicians. They're getting money from places, their offices are paid off. They've got branches every city, and their members are not paying their membership fee every month. Ask me, I'll tell you. But who is funding our politicians? Really? What do you guys think about this thing of funding our politicians? Who's funding the ANC? Who's funding the DA? Well, that doesn't matter. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Who's funding the IFP? Who's funding COPE? Who's funding One Africa? Building One Africa. So for me, I immediately when I hear, and the biggest measurement I do is I listen to how the enemy speaks about you. You guys know on this channel, I've always said Jacob Zuma was the best president for pro-blackness, for the black agenda in South Africa. The reason I always state is because white people hated him. White people loved all the other South African presidents, all of them. Jacob Zuma, they had to push a national agenda that Zuma must fall. The president must resign, and they took him out before his term ended. They succeeded in that. And for me, I was like, something is wrong here. If they hate him so much, if all he's doing is just little corruption, if they hate him so much, then Zuma must be the right guy. Then I started studying his life and I started seeing that really Jacob Zuma was one of the best presidents we had. Not one of the best president we had in South Africa. You can debate on the comment section who you think was the best president for you, of course. Because for me, I've already stated. Let's listen to what Dr. Umar Johnson said about changing our European names and our white names, so to say. They call it Christian names.
Due to slavery.
Would you argue that Johnson was a slave name?
Absolutely.
And that other American Africans should drop theirs?
Ultimately, yes. The reason I pause when I ask that question is sometimes I think as African people, whether we're in America, Africa, the Caribbean, or throughout the diaspora, sometimes we focus too much on superficialities as opposed to substantive change. So in other words, every African in the diaspora could drop our European names, take an African name, and we should. But is that the priority? No. Freedom, justice, and liberation is the priority. The Honorable Marcus Garvey never changed his name, but his contribution to African liberation is almost unparalleled.
100%.
John Henry Clark, Amos Wilson, a lot of our grandmaster teachers never changed their name, but they changed the condition of the people. So I'm a big supporter of changing your name. But I'm even a bigger supporter of changing the conditions. Do the work first, and the name will follow.
Guys, Penuel did a good job interviewing Dr. Umar, and I'm just highlighting a few things. Like, as you know, the norm of my of how I do videos, I take some things that are very interesting to me. So if a person is not going to watch the whole clip at Penuel, of which I would advise you to go and watch the whole clip, I'll just cut some few things that are important to me, and I'll tell you. When it comes to naming our children and naming ourselves in an African language, in an African name, it's very important to me. For me, it's fine. I understand if you were born with a European name, Christian name. I understand that, but it is not okay to then do the same to your children. You should be woke enough. Our parents, they were operating in a different time where the white people were the ones who were working at Home Affairs, and if they could not pronounce a name, a surname, they will just switch it. For example, in Northern Cape, you will have guys by the surname Jackals. A Jackals is Pukuje. A Jackal is a Pukuje. So when they will ask you what is your name, you will say Pukuje. They say what is that? Then you explain it's a Jackal. They say no. Then they write Jackal. The same goes with Api, Kitweni. Api. So they will translate the language, the surname directly to Afrikaans. You understand? You understand? Doesn't really lose its core meaning, because amadlozi ahlala kumadlozi, whether you change the surname or what, you have the ancestors, the lineage of your bloodline, it stays intact. But going forward, I think it's a good contribution for us as parents to say we are not going to name our children with any white names. I've got 2 kids myself, none of them have got white names. I myself don't have a white name. You understand? So, but for me, I think it maybe might happen by mistake, because all my other siblings have got white names. It's only me, you know. So we can call me the chosen one in the family. But going forward, I make sure I give my children only black names, and I make them conscious of why I gave them those names. So that's very important. Um, uh, uh, Dr. Umar Johnson, Penuel asked him about the snow bunny, and this is a topic that Dr. Umar Johnson is always speaking about. Let's just quickly hear his thoughts, and then I'll come back to you guys.
Before I do, again, on behalf of my audience, what's a snow bunny? And why should black men stay away from snow bunnies?
First of all, as Pan-Africanists, we believe in self-determination, African independence, right? So that means every school need to be built for and by black people. Every bank need to be built for and by black people. Every hospital needs to be built for and by black people. Every community needs to be built for and by black people. Every family needs to be built for and by black family. There's more African women on the planet than any other population. There's no other population that has more of itself than black women. So what excuse do I have dating outside of my race with so many African women? Now let's add to that the oppressive history that we've had with the European. These people have enslaved us. They have robbed us. They have colonized us. They have neo-colonized us. They've created all types of biological weapons, from AIDS to Ebola to West Nile to COVID. Every time we look up, they're coming up with a new scheme to exterminate African people. And you mean to tell me that white people have done all this to me and to my race, and I'm going to turn around and choose a white woman to carry my child? Do you know how sick that is? Why do I want to put my melanated seed in the belly of a devil? Why? It makes no sense. Black men date out their race more than all other men put together. You know why? Racial inferiority. We don't think we're as good as the white man, so we need the white woman in order for us to feel an artificial sense of equality. It is self-hatred to the 20th power. I'm not against white women, but I support black women. And in my support of black women, I cannot condone interracial dating. But let's look at the economics. Take the romance out. Take the emotion out. Let's look at the economics. Marriage is a business contract. Women on average live longer than men. So if I marry a white woman and I die prematurely, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. I die prematurely, rest in peace, marvelous Marvin Hagler. That white woman is not going to take any of the wealth that I built as a black man and give it to the black community so we can help regenerate ourselves. She's going to keep that money for herself, and all that black money will go back into the hands of white society. Interracial marriage is economic betrayal.
Unfortunately, guys, you can't say you are pro-white, pro-black, or you are a pan-Africanist, and you marry outside your race. For me, also, it's a no, and it's a no-go zone area. But if someone does go there, I put them at a certain status, but also I understand that they are still my brother, because that sickness of black men wanting to dilute their 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 pigmentation, so that their children can appear colored or half white, it's there. And again, how can you leave so many beautiful African sisters out there? Dr. Umar Johnson rightfully states that African women are the biggest population in the world of women of any race. So you could not find one. That's what you see soccer players doing. That's what you see, what you call, entertainers do. People with money. You don't really get poor people, very poor person marrying a white person. You don't, because white ladies, they marry up in status. They don't marry down. Mostly, you can't really point and name five poor black men that married white women. It doesn't happen frequently. In fact, I can't think of one. As I'm sitting here in South Africa, all the white people that white black male that I know that married white females are rich guys, politicians, soccer players, Benny McCarthy, Sia, the Springbok captain, and so on and so forth. So the last question that Penuel asked, uh, Dr. Umar Johnson is there any good white people in the world? Let's just quickly hear what Umar said.
Are there any good white people in the world?
There may be, but it doesn't matter. And you know why? No matter how good an individual white person may be, they have an obligation to look out for the best interests of the white race. Therefore, no matter how well-meaning they may be, at the end of the day, they're going to close ranks with their own people. Every white person has an obligation to promote and protect white privilege. If there were so many good white people in the world, as so many black multiculturalists claim, why is apartheid still in effect? Why do you have 200,000 homeless black people in South Africa? Why are there 3,000 South Africans who own more than the bottom 32 million of South Africa? Why has the income equality in South Africa gotten worse since April 27th of 1994?
Yeah.
If you got all these good white people, we should see some structural evidence of their good deeds. Show me the good deeds of those good demons, and I'll change my mind.
Yes, I would say there is good white people in the world, but at the very minimum, their numbers are insignificant. They don't roll in packs. They are very isolated, and they are standing there alone. There were some white people in 1994 who gave back some farms because they understand what was happening, but 80 years later, we're still sitting that the white people are less than 10% of the population of South Africa, still hold the majority in terms of land and the wealth of the country. So for me, I also don't. In terms of where we speak about the in groups or in a big quantity, there's no such thing. There's no in individuals, yes, but in groups, there's no such thing. White people have proven in any part of the world that they don't live in peace with other races. They don't. They simply don't. It's only black people when they see one white person come, they will all be nice. If you go to a club full of black people and a white person comes, you will see how all the black people will be treating that white person. If you go to a church of only black people and a white person comes in as a visitor, as a guest speaker or whatever, just look how they will treat him. But if you turn the tables around, we are discriminated from sight. As soon as we step inside, we are discriminated. Beautiful interview that Dr. Umar Johnson did with Penuel. Again, go to his channel, subscribe, and like, comment, and do whatever you need to do to support his channel. He did a good job actually for this interview, and I think we must come back to the realization that the black agenda is always put back by distractions in the world, and we need such talks to remind us as black people to say, listen, black, support black, and black, stand for black, protect black, be black. So for me, that's very important. And I'm using the word black loosely. I'm supposed to say African, but anyway, we as Africans need to stand together to say we love one another and we will never shoot each other down. And I like how Dr. Umar also explained to Penuel that you can't save all black people. There's others that are just, brainwashed to the point where they will kill you first before they can attack the white man. They are just those type of people, and we need to identify those Mpimpis, isolate them, and take them out of the movement of Pan-Africanism, so that we can push with people or work with people that are pro the movement that we're doing. I'm totally a Pan-Africanist. That's what I believe, and that's the only solution I see as black people that can take us from where we are to where we want to be. It's your boy King053. If you're new to the channel, please consider to subscribe. If you like the content anyway, go to the comment section and tell me what did you think about the interview with Mr. Umar Johnson. If you haven't watched the entirety of it, go to Penuel's channel and go and watch it there. Until we meet next time, I salute you.
At White Knot Technologies, we specialize in bags, embroidery, branded wear, and screen printing. We provide the finest quality for affordable price and fast turnaround time. We make sure you'll be satisfied with your order. Visit us at 18 Fisher Avenue, Epping,